A peer review study of nearly 4,000 cyclists found that those using daytime running lights had a 19% lower accident rate than those without. That's not at night, that's in daylight hours. So the question isn't whether lights matter, it's whether yours are doing the right job. So let's go and have a chat to Colin from NOG to find out more.
Hey, how are you?
Good to meet you, Colin.
Good to meet you as well. Come on in.
Let's do it. Colin, most people assume that they are visible enough on the bike, but what does the evidence actually say about that, particularly in daylight?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people ride during the day, which is great. Realistically, the evidence shows that anything that you can do to make yourself more visible, or that can kind of allow you to stand out from traffic, is good. And we believe, and I think the evidence shows, that having a light during the day is the best thing, but even things like using a high visibility helmet, wearing a high vis vest, or having reflective items on your body or your bike is enough to kind of disrupt or distract drivers in that pattern recognition.
So what's the difference between lights that make you legal and lights that really work? What's the difference?
It's a good question. So the legal threshold is pretty low in our opinion. It's just barely keeping you seen, especially when you're riding during the day. You do need something that's a little bit stronger to kind of cut through traffic or to draw attention to the rider, front or rear. So our opinion is, it's important to have a light. The law says that you have to have front and rear, but we realistically want people to have something a little bit brighter. And that for us is often something that has a great flash pattern and something that's strong enough to be seen during the day.
So 80% of crashes are during the day. How does that make you change what you think about what a rear light needs to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So we see, again, with the data that a lot of those accidents happen during the day. Could also be because people are riding more during the day, enjoying the nice weather, etc. But a lot of those accidents specifically happen at intersections, and we believe that being seen and being safe is a question of visibility from all angles. So one of our products in particular, the Cobber, has a 170-degree beam angle, so it's really visible from all angles. As you're coming up to an intersection with other pedestrians or road users, you're being seen from all sides, which is a really important feature.
So walk me through someone that wants to get a light. What are some of the things that you would suggest to them?
For sure. I mean, again, we always recommend you should have a front and rear light. Depending on whether you're riding at night or during the day, the front light is often a question of, do you want to be seen or do you need to see where you're going? So illuminating the path of travel. And then the rear light, again, is really about being seen from behind and make sure that you're safe with other road users. So we also understand that, it often comes down to budget. People spend a lot of money on the bicycle and a helmet and a lock. Those things are important, just like a light is. And so shopping smart and maybe spending some time with a local retailer to get some recommendations or some questions, but front and rear light absolutely necessary, and trying to find maybe the highest possible option in your price point.
So lumens come up a lot. What are the optimum numbers and what should people really be looking at?
That's a great question. So shopping by lumens is a tough game. You see a lot of big numbers on packages in a bike shop or online, for example. Lumens are very interesting because that really is just kind of the measurement of output on the light. So that tells you how much power is coming out of the lens. But really, for a road user or for a cyclist, it's all about the angle. So you could have a really bright, let's say 2000 lumen light, but at a 180-degree angle, you're not really going to see much of where you're going. You might be seen from a lot of sides, but the idea is that you want to find the right output in terms of power, but also the right angle for the riding that you're doing. So this light, for example, has a really tight and really small beam for a smaller output to make it feel quite a bit brighter, whereas this light has a higher output, 1000 lumens brighter, but it also has a wider spread to keep the road illuminated as well. So finding the right output mixed with the right beam angle is really important, especially for a front light.
So flash patterns seem to vary across multiple products. So what should we be looking for, front versus rear light as well, in flash patterns?
Definitely, great question. I mean, flash patterns are important. I mentioned pattern disruption, so having a flash pattern or a light that flashes is really good to call attention to a cyclist, to make them seen and make them safer. We have some flash patterns that are really cool, skulls, hearts, all kinds of exciting designs. But at the end of the day, you're looking for a pattern that has an asynchronous or varied output, so something that again disrupts that pattern. In our front light, for example, our newest front lights have a daytime running mode, which has a steady on with a maximum output. This light in particular goes up to 1400 lumens in that high flash, so really cutting through kind of ambient daylight or midday sun. So really making you visible from the front. And then same thing in the rear, we want to have really bright and kind of really disruptive rear flash patterns so that you're seen, especially from a distance when cars are coming up behind you or coming up to an intersection, really calling attention to that rider.
Now, does where you mount the light actually have an effect on how visible you actually are?
It's a great question, for sure. I mean, historically, lights have always been mounted to a handlebar and to a seat post. You really kind of only had two options. I think we're coming into a new kind of era of cycling where you have lots of options to mount with maybe saddle-mounted lights, rack-mounted lights. You know, e-bikes have integrated lights, for example. We've seen some cool technology from helmet companies coming up where they're mounting lights to helmets to keep people safe. Two things, we see that the higher that you mount the light, so on a bag, on a helmet, for example, the more visible you are. You know, bringing your light kind of higher up into the road view for a driver is important, especially with that flash pattern to keep you seen. We also see that lights like our Plus light mounted onto a shoe or a sock, as it's moving, optically it appears 3 times brighter. And so it's really attractive and really disrupts that kind of general pattern of road use. So it is important, I think, you know, having a primary light maybe mounted on your seat post and having a secondary light on a helmet or on a sock is a great way to make you a little bit more visible and keep you safer.
Makes sense. So is there a minimum that you would recommend for those people that think that, you know, some light is better than no light?
Again, you know, when we think about the legal threshold, it's important to have front and rear lights. You know, something to be legal is important, of course, but we want people to shop smart, you know, maybe with their budget in mind. So finding the best light that they can get in their kind of price point. So whether it's looking at, you know, an entry light that has a really great beam and is kind of using all of its output in a really meaningful and intentional way, or shopping with maybe a bit more money and finding something that has a bit more technology and really kind of embraces that be seen from all sides. It's just about shopping smart, and it's about maybe speaking with an expert like at a local bike shop or checking out a website like ours where you have some more information and you can really kind of get into what the value of the light is giving you. You know, the basics are good, but sometimes they don't cut it.
When you're designing a light with daytime visibility in mind, what are some of the engineering challenges to that?
It's a great question. So, you know, riding during the day, again, is great, but daylight is very bright. And so we want to have a light that's powerful enough to kind of cut through some of that ambient daylight. You know, like I mentioned, we have some daylight running modes in our new front lights that really push the absolute maximum in terms of output so that you can disrupt, you know, normal daylight environments. Being seen with that flash pattern is really important. And the same thing for the rear light, you know, having a really punchy or really strong output on the rear, again, to cut through that daylight is meaningful. And then also, we want them to last for a while. You go out and ride on a beautiful day. I mean, you and I may be doing 4-6 hours on a Saturday sometimes. You know, we want those lights to be strong, but also then to last, you know, a good long ride. So that's our main kind of challenge there.
Absolutely. So what do most people not know about lights that you wish they did?
Great question, for sure. I mean, we talked about lumens, for example. You know, people often think that I'm just going to buy the brightest lumen number I can find, and that's good enough. But at the end of the day, lumens is really kind of a complex measurement. It's about the output, but we also want people to consider the angle. And so in our higher powered front light here, this is a 1400 lumen light. We have 6 individual LEDs. And again, 1400 lumens is a high output in terms of its power, but those LEDs have been really kind of intentionally arranged to give you good depth. So that's where you can take advantage of the full 1400 lumens, but then also a nice spread. So you get full coverage across a road or a gravel path where you can see everything in the environment, you know, from the shoulder to, you know, maybe a couple hundred meters up the road. So shopping by lumens is maybe a good start, but it's a deeper question. And then I also wish that people, you know, had a bit more of an insight into some of the key features we put into the lenses. We use traditionally a warmer or kind of a daylight balanced light, which is less straining and less fatiguing on the eye. Some other brands maybe at a lower price point can use very cool color temperature lights, which might appear brighter, but they often end up providing more eye fatigue and strain, especially when you're riding at night. So using really nice daytime balanced optics, again, with the right angle and the right power, is gonna give you the best possible riding experience. So lumens is a good start, but maybe there's another question to answer down the road.
Well, also to those that may have got the the light that came in the box years ago, what would you say to them?
Yeah, look, I mean, you know, lights they're an essential item for us. You know, we want people to be seen and to be safe, and the safer they are, and the more they're seen, the more they can go out and adventure and enjoy. So whether you're getting an entry level set at $100 or a premium set at $200, that investment is really going to keep you safe for your next couple years of riding. And I think that it's all about having fun too. So if you know that you're safe and seen from all angles, and you can see at night, and you can go off and have another lap on the trail, you should go off and do that. And that feeling of buying nice and not buying twice, you buy a light set that's going to last you 3, 4, 5 years of good riding, and it's going to be able to keep up with you, while you're out and having fun.
Yeah, just makes sense.
Exactly.
Colin, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
On today. And
Appreciate it.
I learned so much today, and for everyone out there, I hope you learned a lot about it. It's all about staying safe on the roads.
Exactly. Be bright, use a light.